Good morning. It's morning coffee on Friday. Um, I'm coming to you today from a different spot in my home. I'm not working until Tuesday now. It's Mother's Day weekend, and so I'm very much looking forward to that. All three of my children will be home, and the gratitude that's there is tremendous. Um, I think that my reflections today just really drift into our soul journey and uh, motherhood and just what does it mean when we say we want to be a loving human being? How are we shifting the paradigm? And if I look in my own life, I would say for me, I did not have a good connection with my mother, and that is due to her own um, traumas that remain to this day unhealed. And will there be a moment where things are able to be rectified? I don't know. The effort has been made, and I would venture that she would say the effort's been made on her part as well. The issue that we always run into is the minute you say this thing that happened left me feeling isolated, left me feeling abandoned, left me feel my mother, because of her own unhealed wounds, becomes very defensive and very offended, as if she's a bad mother, and she falls back into um, her youth upbringing, which is very, very strict biblical based. Parents are to be honored and respected regardless of what they do. And if you're not doing that, well, then I'm a terrible. I just don't know. You know that it's for me. It's so heartrending because there's so much more to life and love and everything. And so, as I raised three wonderful adults now, children into adulthood, I purposed to shift that paradigm. And I'm very proud of my success in doing so. Perfection? Heck no. If any of my children were sitting here in front of this camera talking to you, they could enumerate my failures in many, many ways. However, I think therein lies the difference. They can enumerate it and they can say it to me. And in some instances, when they've said, this that happened really was messed up, I'm like, that was messed up? I don't even, okay, I'm sorry. Please help me understand, and then we go forward from there. But it can be very difficult to be in that space where somebody's coming at you with this that you did is messed up. And very calmly receive that and put away your defense around, well, I was doing the best I could, well, I didn't have support, well, I really tell me more about that. Tell me more about how that made you feel. Wow, as your mother, I would never want you to feel that way. I'm heartbroken that you feel that way. I'm confused that that's the thing. Of all the things that I could think of that I've messed up, that's the thing that you want to talk about. Oh, what about this that was really bad? Oh, yeah, that was really bad too. We'll talk about that another time. But those are the kind of conversations I've had with my kids. And I think that brings me joy. Obviously, you can see that it brings me joy because what it says is you succeeded at shifting the paradigm. No longer in my lineage should it exist, unless my kids screw it up. We go back to the old ways. It doesn't exist for my children, that they don't have the ability to mend the wounds that could have been inflicted on them, at least in the motherhood wound. They can see what happened, and then they can come to their mother and they can work it through, and we can clear it. We can clear that energy that exists when there's a wound between a mother and her child. And I think for how difficult those conversations can be, it brings great joy because You are shifting a paradigm away. And as you behave, so too will your children, regardless of what you want to say. They are going to emulate your behavior or your spouse's behavior or those who raised them in some way or other. They're going to show up as little mini us, mini us's. And so how you behave, how you handle these things is so, so incredibly important. You have to be emotionally agile. You have to be able to hear that you did was messed up, feel the sadness or anger or frustration or whatever you feel about it, set that over here so you can hear them and let them make space for them. And then just say you're sorry. Because guess what? For all the defenses we want to make, when a child comes to you and says, that happened is kind of messed up and I'm still struggling with it as an adult, that's the last thing I'd ever want to hear. And I am sorry. I can come up with all my excuses for reasons for how that happened that way. That doesn't change the fact that it did happen and it did cause damage to the other person who's talking to you. And it doesn't matter really, honestly, if it's a child or if it's another in your adult relationships or what have you. We need to put away our excuses, our defenses and everything, and just say, gosh, I'm sorry. There, and move into a new place of being. I say that immediately my thoughts come to the place of folks who are dealing with narcissistic individuals and narcissistic parents and narcissistic spouses and boyfriends, girlfriends, etc. And I think you know the difference, is what I would say. You know the difference when somebody is coming at you from that space and somebody is coming at you from a space of, I'm trying to work through my wounds, and I know this may be damaging, hurtful for you to hear, but this thing really damaged me and I really need to talk about it. That's a different heart than a person who's coming at you with narcissism and their own bullshit, quite frankly, and trying to make you feel small. There's a different energy in that. And so that's the energy we need to try and step into. The energy of addressing these things in a very loving manner. I'm trying to work through my wounds. This is a wound I have. Can you hold space and sit with me while we talk this through? Versus, you did this, you're a jerk, that's a whole ugly, nasty energy. That's not a healing energy that's happening, right? So I think there's a lot to be said about it. I've tried to make this video for you this morning several different times, and I think I'll leave it with that. Just we need to really understand and love one another in a different way. We need to shift this paradigm away from all the anger and all the frustration and all the defensiveness into one that says, I am here. I am here to hear you, to understand you, and for us to mend whatever bridges need to be mended. Have a great weekend, and I'll probably see you at some point this weekend. I'm trying to make some videos, but yeah, we'll see.